Today, we'll be investigating a house that eats people. This is the story of SCP-1051, better known as the man-eating building. Find a comfy spot, ladies and gentlemen.
A convertible sports car rumbles down a desert road.
This is going to get weird.
Dust high into the air behind it. The driver is sharply dressed and looks at himself in the rear-view mirror.
Oh yeah, he's looking
good. He knows he looks as good as
look at that. He's got a little catfish,
why shouldn't the
little
producer
mustache
of
going
Hollywood's
on.
ninth most successful film in the month of September be happy? The car comes to a sudden stop in front of a cluster of buildings, which appear to be the only structures in this vast, otherwise empty desert. The producer hops out of the car and surveys the desolate location. The cracked concrete airstrip, the weather-beaten buildings, the endless, lonely desert stretching on for miles in every direction. "This place is great," the producer says out loud to no one in particular. The whole location would be perfect for his new movie, which is set entirely at a desert airstrip and tells the story of a lonely airplane mechanic who falls in love with a female bounty hunter chasing an escaped convict, a tale as old as time. But now, where's the guy who called him? He kept rambling about wanting to make a documentary about the desert or something, but that doesn't matter now. He doesn't realize what a great filming location he's sitting on. The producer calls out, "Hello?" But the only response is the desert breeze. He takes off his sunglasses and looks around. He sees that the doors to the hangar are cracked. Maybe the guy who owns this place is in there.
Okay, guys, right off the bat, this doesn't seem like a super scary situation. You have this movie producer who is, scouting a brand new location for his movie about a plane engineer and the lady that runs away with probably all of his life's earnings. But it seems very, very, not super scary. It looks like just, an abandoned warehouse in the middle of the desert. Kind of like an Area 51, There's nothing creepy happening over at Area 51, so it's not like anything creepy would be happening here. The only weird part is that he's meant to meet somebody, except the person isn't there. Which, that by itself isn't super scary yet, until something happens, which we all probably know because we read the title and we looked at the thumbnail. This is no ordinary building. This is a building that eats people alive.
The producer walks inside the hangar, but abruptly stops. His mouth goes agape. He can't believe what he's seeing.
What is it?
This place is even better than the guy on the phone had described it. The hangar is huge and completely empty. He could probably build almost all the sets in the hangar, maybe even shoot the entire picture out here. He'd save a fortune on the budget by not having to pay the soundstage rates that the studios charge on the movie lots in LA. You beautiful genius, he thinks to himself. The movie could flop and still be a financial success. But where's the guy who called him? Doesn't he know who he is? He's a very important producer and doesn't have time to wait around for some desert nobody who runs a 2-bit airport.
Okay, as much as I don't want to see anybody die, I kind of want to see this guy die. This guy sounds like he loves himself. His ego is over 9,000. And yeah, he literally, he's probably not a bad guy, but he doesn't seem like the best guy in the world either. So if an SCP, if it's going to eat somebody, I would be okay if it's this guy right here. But then again, I don't want to see anybody die. But if he died, I'd be okay with it.
All right, that's it. He's leaving. The producer turns to leave, but the doors of the hangar suddenly slide shut with a bang. Is this some kind of joke? He walks up to the hangar doors and starts banging on them, but they don't move. "Hello? Hey, I'm trapped in here. What's the big deal?"
He's gonna die.
The producer is getting
He
worried.
looks so scared.
Is this some kind of a setup? Is he about to get robbed? It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they took his car. He's 9 payments behind on it anyway. But geez, is it hot in here. It was hot outside, but it's even worse in this hangar. And whoever said that the desert air was dry, an idiot, that's who. The humidity in here is stifling. The producer loosens his collar and tugs at it, trying to cool off. "All right, I've had just about enough. If you don't..."
Okay, guys, so I like to theorize about what I think this SCP is. Obviously, we kind of have a good idea because of the title. It's a man-eating building. We've seen other SCPs like this. I think SCP-002, or maybe even 001, is the living room, where if you go inside this giant meatball-shaped meat thing that is basically like a living room, you will eventually be devoured and then turn into a piece of living room furniture, like the sofa or the TV. This one seems a little bit more intense, it is in the middle of nowhere, and obviously deserts are super dry, like they just said, but the inside of this is really humid, which leads me to believe that obviously this is the SCP and it's like basically inside of its mouth right now, which is going to be really humid. It's going to be wet, and this guy is slowly probably going to pass out. And then I don't really know what happens after that. Maybe he just gets digested by this SCP, or maybe something even more cynical happens. Let's find out.
Don't let me out of here. There's going to be a big problem for you, fella. Just then, the producer hears a noise behind him, coming from the dark deeper in the hangar.
Is there like a giant
producer
tongue?
Doesn't react, though. He needs to play it cool. He bends down and pretends to tie his shoe.
Why?
He takes the Derringer pistol out of his ankle holster.
Wait, what?
He stands up and spins around, pointing the gun in front of him. But he can't see anyone in the darkness.
Okay, that's creepy.
This is your last chance. I'm not playing around here. The strange noise comes again, a low rumbling noise, and the producer stumbles forward.
The SCP probably burped or
it felt
farted.
like the floor rippled and pushed him forward. There, it happened again.
What?
And again.
What even is
the
it?
producer screams. What's going on? The rumbling, growling noise grows louder as the floor keeps rippling and pushing him forward, like a wave rolling through the solid ground. Is this an earthquake? The producer is knocked off his feet, and still the floor keeps pushing him forward, towards where that horrible growling noise is coming from.
Oh, dude,
He
it's
tries
pushing
to
him
stand.
towards the
He
throat.
can't. The floor is moving too much.
Oh my gosh!
He tries to crawl, but keeps getting moved closer and closer to the source of the now deafening roar that
That's
seems
scary.
to be coming from... What is that? The producer screams and fires his gun at the thing in front of him.
What is it?
In the flashes of the gunfire, he can finally see it. The thing that he's being pushed into. A
Oh!
giant, gaping maw, filled with a mass of gnashing, grinding teeth.
Oh my
How unlucky for
gosh!
this movie producer that he didn't realize until it was too late that the location for his new movie would be the last one that he'd ever scout. Because as you have probably already figured out,
Well, yeah.
this unknown building in the middle of the desert isn't at all what it appears to be.
Nope.
And in fact, is quite known to the SCP Foundation as SCP-1051.
Guys, if you're a fan of the channel or just SCPs in general, you know that a lot of SCPs that we've been checking out recently are normal everyday objects. Like we've checked out other SCPs. One of them was a bus that wasn't really a bus, or another one was headlights that weren't actually headlights, obviously. They were like killer monsters, but it seems like a lot of SCPs are literally just like everyday objects that people make into these super scary extraterrestrial creatures. So if there's any other SCPs like that that you want me to react to, leave them in the comment section down below.
SCP-1051 isn't actually a building at all, but in fact,
Well, yeah.
is a living organism. This creature's shell, which resembles an aircraft hangar, is quite large and measures roughly 700 meters by 500
What
meters
is it
by
made
60
out
meters.
of?
It is a completely immobile organism and acts as an ambush predator, luring its prey to it through a number of different forms of
So
sociological
it's like
and
a
psychological manipulation.
Giant Venus flytrap,
SCP-1051
but it's a building.
attempts to bring prey to it in a number of ways, but its primary method is by spreading certain ideas into popular culture. It will constantly try to connect to orbiting
What?
satellites and
Why
use
can you
them
do
to
that?
beam out television signals, images, and
Huh?
other forms of media. It has been measured as having around a 25% success rate in connecting with and getting its message carried by the satellites.
So, okay, that is insane that an SCP has that capability, because that means that whoever the producer was trying to meet never existed. It was a fake person created by this SCP, and obviously the movie producer thought that it was safe because he was talking with somebody, or he was like emailing them, or whatever it may be. He thought that he was meeting a person, when in reality, it was the SCP that lured him there. That is insane.
And may have the ability to transmit regular radio broadcasts or connect to standard telephone lines as well.
It can
The
talk?
messages that SCP-1051 sends out tend to fall into the category that could be termed as conspiracy theories,
Okay.
most of which are about itself. It has
Weird.
uploaded information to various conspiracy websites that has included reports of spaceships being held and reverse engineered in its hangar.
Guys, I don't know if this is the case, but what if the SCP made this YouTube video? That would be really, really, really smart, but also weird, because, I mean, like it's saying, like Dr. Bob just said, it can send out radio signals, it can upload images of itself. Like, this thing, I don't know what it's capable of, but imagine if it's behind this entire YouTube video. That is creepy.
Descriptions
Creepy
of
to think.
so-called men in black using its location as a site for extraterrestrial contact It has attempted to spread rumors that it is a site used as a testing location for any number of top-secret devices, including energy weapons, weather control devices, teleportation machines, and impossible propulsion systems.
So everybody's going to want to go there.
SCP-1051 has also attempted to spread through radio and television transmissions that it is a site used by a United States shadow government. It's made at least a handful of calls to Hollywood-based production companies in an attempt to get them to further spread its information, as well as contacting various tabloid newspapers. Perhaps
what does it even
most
sound
nefarious
like?
of all, it has even sent orders to U.S. military intelligence operatives posing as a senior official and ordering them to reveal SCP-1051's location.
Okay, so obviously that is very creepy. But, you know, if it is doing all of these things, that means obviously that eventually the SCP Foundation is going to find it, which is probably how we're seeing this video. Yeah, this SCP, it's super smart, but it probably didn't realize that the SCP Foundation even existed, because if it did, it probably wouldn't want the SCP Foundation to find out about it, because it's just going to get contained. And they probably have some sort of like procedure at this point so that nobody ever risks accidentally going to this location. Like they probably have guards set up and stuff like that, because, yeah. They're not going to want somebody going into this giant building that is secretly a mouth for a massive creature that eats people.
SCP-1051 appears desperate to make its location known to curious outsiders, all in an attempt to get them to come find it, so it can lure them inside of itself and feed.
Creepy.
And the anatomical structure of SCP-1051 is perfectly suited to this task. Its bizarre biological structure consists of a large tongue, which looks very similar to a paved runway. The tongue leads directly into a set of large airplane hangar doors that could be called the organism's mouth.
Okay.
This door mouth opens up to what looks like a hangar, but is actually the gizzard-like organ of 1051, where it grinds its prey into a fine paste to prepare it for digestion.
Oh, no.
The next building is the creature's stomach, where it breaks down the liquefied prey into nutrients and separates the waste products that it can't digest.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
The nutrients are transported to the area where SCP-1051's brain is thought to reside.
Does it poop it out?
While the waste is ejected out of the structure. Finally, there are what appears to be a set of antennae on the side of the building. These information distribution organs extend below the ground as well, where many more antennae and wires are thought to exist, and give 1051 the ability to send out multiple television, radio, and other signals.
There's an egg?
SCP-1051 was discovered in 1947.
It can
when an
lay
egg-shaped
eggs?
structure was reported to have crash-landed in the desert of the American Southwest, near the town of Roswell, New Mexico. The United States Air Force took this strange egg into its possession and moved it to its current location in Nevada for observation and research. The Air Force scientists who were assigned to the object first thought that they were dealing with a meteorite, the one that was composed of some yet unknown material. They soon discovered that the object was hollow and was filled with some kind of liquid. Strangest of all, though, was when they detected something inside that liquid core, and it was moving.
So at that point, you know, I'm sure they probably realized that it's an alien, right? It's a living alien egg, not just a meteor, and they should have maybe not destroyed it, but yeah, do a lot of research and, you know, most importantly, make sure that it's contained, which it kind of seems like they failed in doing that, considering this thing, you know, built an entire structure for itself and then is actively eating people.
The object for years, until one day, something happened that would end their research for good. The egg hatched. One night, as Air Force Sergeant Burnson and two scientists, Dr. James and Dr. Gold, were going about their regular work analyzing the object, they heard a strange sound. When they looked at the object, they saw that a crack had begun to form on the outer shell. This cracking continued for about 5 minutes until something finally broke through the shell.
What is going to come out of that? An alien
creature began to emerge from its shell, and the men all turned to run.
Okay, I mean, I don't want to say that these guys are like Weenie Hut Jr. idiots, but these guys are Weenie Hut Jr. idiots. What were they thinking? They literally know that there's something inside. It is an egg. Why did they not prepare for this? They should have had some sort of plan in place. If this thing were to hatch, I don't know, maybe like some sort of evacuation thing, maybe like a gas chamber that would put this thing to sleep. I don't know, but it seems like they had zero plan for when this thing hatched.
But something reached out with a long tentacle-like arm and grabbed Dr. James. It pulled the scientist in and seemed to absorb him right into its body.
Oh.
Sergeant Burnson and Dr. Gold managed to escape the airplane hangar and send out a distress signal. And it was this cry for help that described an attack by an alien creature that would put the object firmly on the SCP Foundation's radar. As Sergeant Burnson was sending out the distress signal, Dr. Gold tapped him on the shoulder and pointed towards the hangar where the egg-like object had been stored. The two men watched as the hangar bulged and expanded, like something was pressing against the walls from inside. The hangar suddenly collapsed, and they watched as the creature looked to writhe around in the debris. But then a new shell began to form around the alien. It grew larger, expanding and shifting until suddenly it took on nearly the exact form as the hangar that once stood there.
Wow.
SCP Foundation agents arrived at the site not long after and took control of the area. They discovered almost immediately that the building-shaped creature was anything but dormant. This extraterrestrial that had been born from an egg and then taken the form of an airplane hangar was ejecting its own eggs.
Oh, there's
more? The
more?
building would occasionally blast eggs up and into the sky.
How?
Several of these eggs were stopped and reclaimed by the Foundation, but others managed to slip past and escape the Earth's atmosphere.
Dude, it literally shot it so far, it farted it out at light speed, and the eggs are now all the way in outer space. That's insane.
Making them impossible to recover. The Foundation also soon detected that radio signals were being emitted by the hangar, and set up a small radio nearby which would allow them to both receive and send signals back to the creature that was now designated as SCP-1051. Dr. Richardson, the Foundation researcher on site who was leading the investigation into 1051, found the frequency that it was transmitting on and attempted to speak to the creature. After asking if 1051 could hear it, the creature actually responded.
Really?
And it seemed to have a very simple request. Give. When
Give?
Dr. Richardson asked it to elaborate, asking,
cookies?
Give what? 1051 responded,
People
Want feed. Bring
need food.
When the doctor told 1051 that it wouldn't be getting any food, the anomaly immediately sent out a new transmission, stating, Area 51 is currently being controlled by the SCP Foundation, a shadow government organization that has designated it SCP-1051.
Okay, that is super smart. So not only is this SCP taking over entire buildings, sending out signals, once it realized that the SCP Foundation wouldn't help feed it, it decided to like literally double cross the SCP Foundation and basically say that it's a secret government, there's conspiracies, the government is out to get you. And honestly, that's not a bad play, because then people are going to be like, wow, the government's really out to get me. And then they're going to go try to investigate it for themselves. And obviously, they're going to get eaten alive and they're going to fall right into this SCP's trap.
Here are a few names of the operatives. Dr. Richardson cut SCP-1051 off and ordered a D-Class personnel to be sent inside the creature, hopefully appeasing it and stopping it from sending any more broadcasts out about the highly secretive organization.
Sacrifice somebody.
When asked why it was sending these signals, SCP-1051 responded that it was trying to make humans curious.
What?
It appeared that its hunting strategy was to flood the world with conspiracy theories.
And it worked?
Conspiracy theories about itself. This would then cause interested humans to come explore the
Exactly.
location. And once they entered the hangar, their curiosity would reward them with an encounter with the alien that they had been seeking. SCP-1051 also explained that the eggs that it was ejecting were its babies, and it seemed quite upset that the Foundation had intercepted some of them as they were on their orbital escape trajectory. But where had SCP-1051 come up with these conspiracy theories? Had it been studying our culture and the boom of science fiction in the 1940s to make up stories it thought would lead people to it? Foundation researcher Dr. Richardson had a hunch that there was something else going on. He next spoke to Dr. Gold, the other Air Force scientist who had been studying the egg-shaped meteorite. He asked him to describe SCP-1051's first victim, Dr. James. Dr. Gold told him that Dr.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm sure you guys are probably thinking the same thing, but this SCP might be able to absorb the knowledge of whichever victim that it eats. So it probably, you know, it ate one of the doctors originally and probably was able to access its brain. And as a, you know, super intelligent doctor, this guy knew a lot about conspiracies and sci-fi and all of these things that the SCP could then use in order to come up with these conspiracy theories.
Dr. James was obsessed with his job, and that spread into his personal life. He was a real sci-fi nut.
Yeah, there it is.
Dr. James apparently loved B-movies, especially ones about aliens and UFOs. He was convinced that the government had both in their possession already, and his research on the strange, egg-shaped meteorite only added to his confidence in that fact. Had SCP-1051 somehow absorbed this knowledge from its first meal here on Earth, and was now using it as a way to lure in new, inquisitive prey? Dr. Richardson thought it may go even deeper than that. When he played a recording of the first conversation he'd had with SCP-1051 for Dr. Gold, the one where 1051 told him it wanted him to bring food, Dr. Gold was left shocked. The voice he was hearing belonged to Dr. James.
Oh my gosh!
SCP-1051 remains in the Nevadan desert, and its area is patrolled at all times by no less than 20 Foundation personnel in uniforms that resemble those worn by members of the United States Air Force.
Okay, cool.
They are authorized to shoot at
Naruto
intruders, but not with the intention to kill. Instead, only as a means to scare them away.
I got my next
Should any
YouTube
intruders
video.
come within 1 kilometer of SCP-1051, they are to be detained and administered Class A amnestics.
Okay, so this SCP is Area 51. That's it. Okay, that's actually kind of cool.
Since SCP-1051's primary danger stems from its ability to spread false information, the SCP Foundation's main containment efforts have been focused on stopping its broadcasts. Agents are to respond to any civilian rumors or questions about SCP-1051 with denial and ridicule.
Well, that just makes
To make
people
it
more
clear
curious.
That these are nothing but stories, and that the person is stupid for believing them. Should they exhibit any knowledge beyond the normal myths and rumors, the application of Class A amnestics is also permitted.
Oh.
Any satellites orbiting near 1051's location are to be monitored for interference to their transmissions, and if any antenna with an unknown purpose are discovered within a 10-kilometer area of the building, they are to be destroyed or surrounded by a Faraday cage.
This SCP is a pain in the butt.
SCP-1051 may not be able to move, but its ability to reproduce and the difficulty that the Foundation still faces in stopping its spread of disinformation has led to it being classified as Euclid, and research into its origins and biology are ongoing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was easily one of the most interesting SCPs that we've checked out yet. If you guys enjoyed and want to see more, make sure you guys smash like and click right here for more SCP videos.